Welcome to The Digital Shift. This is a podcast that talks about the changing landscape of the healthcare industry. And I'm your host, Sunny Patel. I'm here with Chelsie, who's a senior lead implementation here at Curasev. And we're really talking about the implementation of EMR, so electronic medical record. For those who don't know that, we're pretty much here saying how does a prospect come in from the beginning as you do a kickoff call, talking through their struggles, coming from their legacy system, and how did that go through that journey from beginning to end to get them to a successful kickoff and go live to make sure they started with Curasev.
Yep. So I've got all of the things to tell you today because I do our implementations from start to finish, like you said. So it kind of the process starts with, we have to get the client, right? Okay. The client has to say, this looks like it's going to be a good fit for us, and then we sign the contract, and then that's when the pre-kickoff call starts.
Gotcha, okay.
So our pre-kickoff call is where I get to know the client, and I'm getting to know their name, their time zones, and when they would like to meet. Do you want to meet twice a week? Do you want to meet 3 times a week? What is your expected go live? How often do we need to meet so that you have the go live date that you want, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the first call. The next call is the kickoff call. This is all of your system setup. So we're talking about any integrations, any data migrations that need to be done, any custom development, custom forms that need to be built out. We're also kind of doing the back end setup. So system setting configurations, things like that. Not stuff that they're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's not learning the software, but it's making sure that everything is set up properly so that they have a successful go live and implementation. Yeah. Then after the kickoff call, that's when we have our actual training sessions. Now here at Curasev, we have a total of 6 trainings. Well, it's 8, including the pre-kickoff and kickoff. So it's a total of 8 training sessions. But that's when we get into the kind of subject matter expertise training sessions, which in our case at Curasev, we have patient intake training, we have product training, we have sales order, delivery, and billing. You can tell I do this a lot. So those are all of our trainings. And then for each training, especially with larger organizations, you need that subject matter expertise on the right call. I don't need a biller. If they are only doing billing, I don't need them on the delivery.
You don't need them on the intake or the kind of the beginning processes.
Right. They're not going to be delivering, products, so they don't need to see how that process works. Now, a lot of our clients are smaller clients, so they're a mom and pop shop. They got one guy doing it all. Mm-hmm. They got one guy creating the patients, creating the orders, going in their truck and delivering the products.
They're wearing multiple hats in the organization.
Exactly. So it really just depends, and that's one of the things that I do on my kickoff call is I try to understand what kind of organization they have and
the structure, who's their employees,
and how I can cater to them. Mm-hmm. And all implementations are not created equally; they are not the same. It really depends on the organization and how I am going to go about it based off that kickoff call.
So how do you handle, let's say, I know you have such a variety of ranging types of clients, right? Different product lines, different size of clients, starter clients who might not need fax or different advanced features that Curasev kind of has. How do you handle those enterprise kind of clients versus like startup, and how to manage kind of test the tester kind of maybe or train the trainer kind of production? How do you handle that kind of scenario?
I ask the client how they want to handle it first. Mm-hmm. I obviously have suggestions and what works best. In my opinion, I think that train the trainer does work best because once you start to get more than 5 people on a call, it's too many people on a call. If you've got, 12 billers on a call that are asking questions, that training is going to go over. We usually allot an hour and a half.
Okay.
Sometimes trainings go over to about 2 hours. After that 2-hour mark, I'm like, let's schedule another training, or
there's too much content to be intake in one sitting.
Exactly.
Anyway.
People start to need a refill on their coffee. People need to use the restroom. They're just not as engaged after that 2 hours. So when you start to have more people on the calls, that's when it's like, I'd prefer a train the trainer approach, just because you start to go over that 2-hour approach. So what I typically do is I ask the client, or I recommend to the client, this is what I recommend. Obviously, they can do whatever they want. They don't always take my advice, and sometimes I do have 15 people on the call, and we do have to have more trainings for those type of clients. So with the larger clients, I would say they do need a little bit more hands-on because they have more workflows also. So they are, they have 12 people doing one job, and so it's a lot harder to say, okay, this person needs to do this person needs to do this. Whereas when you have one person doing it all, it's not like, okay, I need to assign this task to this person, this task to this. It's just one person doing it. So it's a little bit simpler. Yeah.
Got it. So I know you've been really proponent of Asana as in terms of project management tools kit.
Yes.
Because a lot of things, and I know a lot of things for implementation that we hear from kind of the industry is like lack of communication. I have my implementation specialist just left me hanging and I don't know where we're at, and we're 9 months down the implementation. I have no idea where we're at with enrollments or how we are with our data import process. So can you talk about like a little bit of how your organization skills, I know you're really big on that, and how you use Asana as a project management tool for both your clients, and how do the clients like it from their perspective as you implement them?
Yes, of course. This is not sponsored, but it should be from Asana. Asana is basically a glorified spreadsheet. So an Excel spreadsheet. It's a way to organize tasks. So what I do right when a client is on board or, created in my head, this is a new client, I create them what I call a project in Asana. Okay. And I'm basically copying a template that I've created, and it has all of what we're going to do week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way through week 5, which is how long it takes for us to do a standard implementation, 5 weeks. So I have a template, I wish we could show it, that tells you what is needed in week 1. And that is your action items. What does the client need to do? And I actually even have my action items on there.
Oh, nice.
So I have, so that the client has no questions. What does she do? Is she doing anything? Trust me, I am. I'm doing a lot in the background. Here you can see what I'm doing. And I have, basically there's 3 kind of columns on this Asana. There's the task and what is needed. And then there is the assignee. So who is going to be responsible for this task? And then there's the due date, okay? And so throughout all of the trainings, I am going through each and every task. I'm clicking on it, and within the task, there is detailed instructions on what needs to be done. So I'll give you an example.
Sure.
For enrollments. So we have to, in the software that we use, we have to enroll insurance payers so that our clients can submit claims electronically and receive those payments back electronically as well, right?
Makes sense, yep.
That doesn't come with a click of a button, right? There's some steps
it is definitely a very involved process,
that need to be done. It's multi-steps, and multiple people have to kind of touch it. And so it can be confusing if you don't know what you're doing or you've never done it before. But I feel like what I've done is I've laid it out step by step on what needs to be done. You need to do this, and then I take it over. Now it's on me to do this. So they can go and reference that and see what needs to be done. What website do I need to go to? How long does it take to get this? A lot of people, wonder. That's a question I can't answer because I'm not Medicare, right? And every state is different as well. Medicare in Arizona is going to take longer than Medicare in California is going to take longer than Medicare in Arizona. There's a lot more people in Medicare in California. Yeah. So I can't answer every question, but I have tried through my experience and doing implementations for almost 3-4 years now. I know what questions are going to be asked. I know how to answer those. So those types of questions I tried to put in the Asana board, have it answered, and that just keeps us on track.
It's a nice template setting that kind of rinse and repeat, and then you can kind of customize it based on the client's needs.
It's really no work on my end because I'm just copying. I'm duplicating in Asana. It's called duplicating. I'm duplicating the project, and then I'm just changing the name to the client's name. So it's a very simple process on my end, and then it's just going through those tasks with the client, making sure that they understand. And it's really helpful when you have those larger organizations because when you've got 10 people on a call, they kind of are like,
they're also brainstorming. I know, like sometimes they're like trying to problem solve, saying, hey, how should we handle it? Sometimes they don't even know within their organization. So kind of like how to handle that because it's not really training. Let's say, hey, let's take it offline.
It's not training, right? And the problem one of the main problems that I've seen with the larger organizations is when you're on the call, all the people are like, that sounds like a Robin thing. that sounds like Robin's going to do that. And then Robin's like, that sounds like a Susan thing, And so they in their head, they might think somebody else is going to be responsible for a task, and it doesn't get done. And so what I've done to fix that issue is on that call, I'm like, all right, Robin, you doing this? Are you doing this task?
Call them out.
And I put their name on the task, and it sends them an email.
Oh,
and Asana has automatic email reminders, so they'll get an automatic email reminder a couple of days before the due date, on the due date, and then one thing I do before every training I have, I go through that Asana task.
You kind of review. Did you do your homework that I assigned you from last training?
Yep. And then after the training, I go through it again. So I start my trainings with Asana and I end with Asana.
Nice.
Not sponsored by Asana.
Very nice, very nice. So as you mentioned, you've been having 3 to 4 years of experience doing implementations now. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories across all the different kind of clients you've come and onboarded on. So if you could just give maybe 2 or 3 things that you really feel that you seen a common trend that people come with these problems, how you as an implementation specialist have to kind of calm them down, saying, hey, we're going to resolve everything. They want to go at the speed of light. They want to get implemented yesterday as a go live. They don't understand it takes time. And how do you kind of get that implementation off the ground? And what have you heard from kind of clients as you do implementations and things they struggle with?
I would say resistance to change is 100% the top thing.
Yeah, EMR softwares are very sticky, so it's hard.
And we're talking about a lot of people don't know what the DME industry is. Think it's kind of like a sister to a doctor's office. Think about your doctors and your dentist, right? It's people like that. They don't want to change their software. They are stuck in their ways. They don't have a software at all, and they are just doing everything on pen and paper, right? And so they don't realize,
Excel or some type
or
of
Excel, And the software that we have can really automate so many processes, and it can also prevent user error. User error is such a big thing, in typing in the wrong address. Like, what if you type in the wrong address or even the wrong zip code? You fat finger a number. You're going to the wrong address, and that's wasting your whole day.
Yeah, even some insurances,
delivering the product.
Some insurances need the 9-digit zip code, and they'll reject it. They need any reason to reject it because they obviously are very reimbursement focused, and they need to make sure you have good, proper demographic kind of claim scrubbing in a sense. Yeah.
So I always say the hardest part isn't teaching the software. That part's easy.
Okay.
I don't want to say it's too easy. It's not too easy. But I love teaching the software. That's not the hard part. It's not learning the software. The hard part is unlearning the old habits. So unlearning how you used to do things.
Old habits die hard. That's what they say, right?
Brought that in, yeah. But I think that's one of the hardest things. So the way that I kind of combat that is I just do hands-on training, and I tell a lot of my clients, don't be scared to click a button. Yeah. We're here. A lot of my clients are in the, maybe an older generation that's not used to using computers, and they're scared. Oh gosh, what happens if I click this button? And it's like, we can reset it. Yeah. Like if you submit something that's incorrect, it's okay.
And we even have a QA environment, right? Sometimes we set up to help test out things that help with clients before they goes into production.
Exactly. If you're worried about, what is this going to do? Log into QA. Everyone has a QA environment. We create a QA environment. You can log in and I always tell my clients, create a patient, create a sales order, do a delivery, before your go live so that you can see, because it's watching me. That's my second point is one of the challenge. Let's transition. My second challenge that I have is people not practicing the software. So I do a training on patient intake. I'm showing you how to create your patient, how to run eligibility. I do this all day, every day. I know what buttons to click. Do you? Because you've never done it. One thing I have found is my clients, they watch me do it, and I do it so seamlessly. So they're like, I'm going to be able to do this. Well, then 3 weeks goes by, and they haven't seen me do it in 3 weeks.
Because they're supposed to do it after your training.
They're supposed to do it right
when
after.
It's fresh in their mind and recording and everything.
Right.
But
and it's like watching someone else drive a car. It's like learning to drive a car by watching someone else do it. Yeah. You don't build that confidence unless your hand is on the wheel.
Yeah. Practicing means you have to be the person practicing to make it
right.
perfect. Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I have found an issue with is people aren't going in and logging in and practicing and doing their work. My workflow, I try to understand their workflow, and I do ask questions on the implementation, but it's not going to make sense until they have their hand on the mouse and they are clicking that button, and then they realize, oh, where am I supposed to put the surgery date? You know, where am I supposed to put the surgery date? Because ours is called something else. Like our date is called procedure date, you know? Yeah. So and then I want them to ask those questions before their go live, because especially in larger organizations, you need to have those questions answered before you start having your like actual clients come or patients come in and creating those patients, you know. So that's one of the other kind of challenges.
Do you think it's like their schedule's really busy, right? They're trying to start up a new business, or they're already running a managed practice, and like, yeah, I finished my 1.5 hour training, I already dedicated that time, and maybe they don't have opportunities to do that in their next week before their next training. I don't know if you've seen that as a trend. Is just like their schedules are tough? It's like
maybe it's schedules, but I think a lot of it too is they're afraid.
Okay.
That I think because you are creating a patient. Like if you are busy, right? You're a DME company. You're busy. You have patients coming in. Create that patient in Curasev.
Yeah.
You know, why would you create it in your legacy software when you're about to move to our software? Just use that as practice. Use like you need to run eligibility on a patient, run it in Curasev.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and start getting in the habit of doing that.
Yeah, and if something ever needs to be reset, we have that full flexibility of cleaning it up. So
I think it's just they're comfortable. What's it called when they're comfortable?
They're in their comfort zone.
They're in their comfort zone. Yeah, and that's change.
Yeah,
and they don't want to do it until and I'm the same way. I'm big about that too. I will not upgrade my Netflix account. Until my TV will not let me log in.
I will not change from an iPhone to an Android because I'm so used to like everything, and that kind of goes back to your first point, right? It's people don't like change. Software, EMR software especially, is very sticky, and once you learn it, you gotta they're used to this kind of workflow, and we gotta change that mindset. And it really brings us kind of to that point. Very nice, very nice. So we're kind of moving on. I know you mentioned timelines. So typically, a lot of clients, I know, 4 to 6 weeks, or if it's 4 weeks, if you're doing less kind of implementation, no fax, data migration.
I can do it in 2.
Oh, okay.
If I had to, I can do it in 2.
Okay. Well, we're going to see if someone's going to ask if we do a 2-week implementation. We'll put you to the test then.
I've done it.
Yeah. So what I think is like that 2-week expectation. Now, we say it's 2 weeks. Now, obviously, we said clients are busy. They don't have time to finish that. So how does that lead to like getting to that go live date? And sometimes it could be a moving target because they do everything quickly. Maybe we can get a quicker go live if some clients are just more proactive and they love to do everything. Some are more reactive and they do it afterwards, the fact that you tell them, hey, you forgot to do this. So how do you kind of manage expectations of timelines for clients who want to know, like, I want to go live yesterday, or I want to go live in 2 months or 3 months?
I will say with Curasev, I've worked at multiple software companies. This is not my first software company where I'm doing implementations. I will say that Curasev is a much easier company or software to implement because it's out of the box.
Gotcha.
So the second you get your login, you could technically go live. You just don't know how to use the software, right?
And we give them the login.
We give them the login day one.
Yeah.
So the only real setup is the Inovalon account, which is the clearinghouse to be able to submit claims electronically. But at the end of the day, you can print those out in paper.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to do that.
You can at least get your patients, your products, your inventory.
You can do what you need to do day one with Curasev. So I don't really find an issue with the go live date. On our end, like on my end, I don't have any issues because the software's out of the box. Like it's so easy to use, it's easy to train, it's easy to learn. I think the problem with go live dates that I have seen is clients that are resistant to change. They are just scared to start using the software. They're like, I'm not ready to do that yet.
They'll give some excuse like, I'm still waiting some credentialing, or I'm having my employees still learning, or something like that.
Yeah, I have somebody out of town, it's like scheduling, like little scheduling conflicts. It's not necessarily like software related. You know what I mean? Of why they can't go live or what's pushing back their go live date and why that's a moving target.
Nice.
But yeah, I get that all the time where, I mean, I send them to you. I'm like, hey, Sunny, I need you to update this go live date, you know, for whatever reason. And it is what it is. It doesn't bother us. It doesn't affect us either way. You know, if the client feels more comfortable pushing that go live date back, that's what we're
We'd rather have that than you get charged earlier and you're not using the software and you're not happy. And like, hey, why am I getting charged for Curasev? I'm not even using it.
Right.
We don't want that kind of reputation. So we try to make sure that we get it to the point that, hey, when you're ready, when we've kind of signed off on our end, and keeping a mutual trust that you're not delaying it for just the sake of delaying it.
Right.
And building that relationship to make sure that they get live and setting them up.
And I constantly communicate. That's one thing. I constantly communicate with them about their go live day. How do you feel about, you know, are you comfortable? Like after each call, I'm like, how are you feeling? You know, like, are you feeling confident? And we also, at the end, we started doing surveys where we send a customer satisfaction survey asking the client, how do you feel about how I did as your implementation? It's kind of more to get feedback about me and my process and how I did, but it's also about, not necessarily about the software, like what do you like about the software, but what did you like about or dislike about the process for implementing? Is there anything that we could improve on? Is there, you know, were we timely in getting back your questions to any answers that you had? Were there any issues that you faced during implementation that we weren't able to address? Things like that.
Yeah, definitely feedback is very important, especially like you said, you've done so many implementations. You might be talking very fast. That's something feedback that you want to get back, saying like, hey, I've done it so many times for me.
Am I yelling at you?
Am I yelling? Am I telling you, hey, why don't you get it? Like, please give me that feedback so we can make sure your implementation is proper, because I know you don't want to have a bad implementation. You want everyone to be very happy with their bubbly personality. So it definitely makes sense. I am pretty much saying the next kind of thing is really focused on when you have clients coming from a legacy system, right? So they're coming from a example DME software that needs to bring in their information. A lot of times that kind of goes into like why they're afraid to change over, say, hey, I have patient information, I have doctor information, XYZ, how do I get that over? And then a lot of times they also have custom stuff. So they say, hey, like, Chelsie, I need this form, or I have this specific workflow that we kind of cater to. So how do you kind of work through the process of learning those requirements, giving them the data import sheet, whatever, and walking them to the point of view, saying, hey, this is our scope of work kind of process, and then to the point of development, and then following up after the feature has been released with that client? How do you handle that?
I have a Sunny. No, but seriously, Sunny you're the biggest help on. Let's talk about data migration first, right? So with data migration, we have a standard template that we use that was built by you, and it's basically an Excel sheet that has different tabs. And each tab is kind of like a table in our database. So we have like a patient tab, insurance, patient eligibility, product, serial number, inventory, all of the different kind of things that we can import into the system, right?
Got it.
So I share this document with the client and I say, look, this is what we can implement. These are the columns that we need, that we can import. And then I say, these are required. This is what's required. Obviously, we need like a name, like an ID, which ID is system generated, but you get the picture. There's certain things that are required that we need in our system to import that data. That makes the process really, really simple for them because they can see, okay, this is what I need. And they basically just kind of copy. And I guess from their old legacy system, they have reports that they can run, and then they get that data, and then they kind of plug it into our Excel. I know with some of our other software, our competitor softwares, you have certain reports that you tell them to run. Like with Brightree, you can say, hey, run this report, this report, this report.
Some ad hoc reports that give us information, and we can import it.
And they don't even need to fill out the Excel sheet. So I think our data migration process, I have no complaints with it, probably because I don't touch the data. But it's very simple from the client side. I've never really had a client not understand the data migration process. For the most part, they've all been like, this is pretty straightforward. And if there are any hard problems, I would say that my advice is to get you a Sunny. Get you someone that's, can answer those technical questions. I mean, I have a technical background, but I don't do it on it. I'm not the one that's doing the data import. So it's nice to be able to lean on you for that kind of stuff. Now, for the custom forms that you talked about, what I like to do is I show them first, because I don't want my clients paying money for something that they can use that we have standard out of the box.
Sure.
Right? Like, let's talk about a delivery ticket. So in Curasev, we have what's called a delivery ticket, and this is kind of a standard document. It's your proof of delivery.
Sure.
When you deliver a product to a patient, and if you get audited for Medicare, they ask for proof of delivery. This is your proof of delivery.
With signature and all that nice stuff.
It's got the signature, the product, the quantity, the cost, which is, you don't have to have the cost on there. Your terms and conditions, to keep you liable and things like that. So that is all standard out of the box. I like to show them that first and say, this is what we offer. Is there something else that's missing from this? And they're like, oh yeah, we have certain text that we need to add. We can do that. You don't have to pay for that, because I'm going to show you in the software where you can update those terms and conditions. That's not standard text. That's dynamic. You can change it to whatever you want. In that case, they're saving money. They don't need anything custom. But if they're like, hey, actually, I want for the address to be over here on the right side, and I want for the product to be displayed like this, and I want to add this question and this answer, and there's like a bunch of, they're used to seeing it.
They want their driver to select the questions from the app, something like that sometimes.
Totally different workflow. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, you need some custom development. So how I handle that, I ask them, what are you currently doing? What is your current process? Do you have a printout that you can send me so that I can show that to my developer and we can do some kind of prototype or mock-up, send it to you, you approve that, and then we kind of scope that out, level of effort, how long is that going to take for us to do, and then we send a scope of work basically for the extra development that's going to be. They pay it, we do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's very transparent. You know exactly how much time it's going to take, what we're completing, and the client knows like, okay, what I'm paying for and the executed time frame. So it's not like, oh, I paid for something, it's taking 2 months to complete, we already give you that thing, and we kind of bump that in priority as well. Because, hey, you paid for it, we push that custom work to the top of the kind of queue list.
Now, if they don't have a custom, if they don't have a printout, and this is they're new and they just know what they want, I have them draw it out on a piece of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Or in Word. I'm like, draw it out.
Brainstorm,
Show me what you want, because you're going to do better than me, right? And then I'll make it look pretty. With the developer, I'll work with the developer and make sure that it looks good. We'll do, I never want to develop anything without them making sure what they're getting with that development. So we do some kind of mock-up wireframe type thing, and then we send that, and then checks and balances.
Yeah, awesome. I don't have anything else really in the conversation. Is there anything that you want to bring up as specific topics that you've kind of come at as a kind of conclusion part?
Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Oh.
I guess I would say, I love doing implementations. If you're thinking about I guess I'll talk about getting into the job. How do you get into
what
a
makes
job
you so
like
passionate?
This? But this is just my personality also. But no, I went to school for management information systems, which is a technical degree. It's kind of a cross between business and computer science.
Nice.
So I did go to school for programming, but I'm not a programmer. I knew I did not want to do that, but it definitely helps because I can speak the language.
Yeah, the lingo matters a lot,
it matters a lot, and it earns you respect from the developers because they know that I have done that work before. It's not like I have no idea and what they do, and I respect what they do, right? I know what they are going through, and it just helps your brain kind of comprehend what can be done, because anything can be done with software. Right? If you have the right people working on it, if you have the right team of people that can gather those requirements, the right client that can give those requirements, and then the right developer that can build it all out.
It's a big collaboration effort at the end of the day, and communication is the main thing that is very strong to be sure that all parties are up to date.
Yeah. So I got my degree from University of Alabama.
Roll Tide!
Management Information Systems. And then I started off as an end user support engineer at a hedge fund in Chicago, and I hated it. Oh gosh, sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but I didn't. It wasn't for me because it's very high stress. but that was kind of a stepping stone for me. I then found a job, again, in Chicago as a business analyst.
Okay.
And then I got promoted to project manager. And that's when I knew I want to be the liaison between the client and the developers. That is what I was meant to do. And then I found Curasev, and that's literally what I do. I'm working with clients every day. If you don't like scheduling calls and talking to clients, do not become a
You even share your personal phone number with the client.
Yeah.
I know some people don't like that. They're just like, don't bother me all the time.
No, I'm like, send me your address. I'll show up. Let's have dinner.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely have to be personable and like take things personally in a way. Like I look at this like I'm training my mother. My mother does work in the hospital, you know, so she has to learn these softwares, and I treat everyone kind of like family, like I would want to be treated. You know, I don't ever, no question is dumb with me, you know, and it's just making the client, letting them know that you're there for them. That's really what
you're building a relationship. Like, hey, we're family. We're wanting you both to do well together. Like, we're building that relationship, especially from your kickoff all the way to the end.
If you're not happy, I'm stressed out. So
you care a lot.
I do too much.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, especially as an implementation person. So definitely.
Do you have anything else?
From our end, just making sure, I think really as you being an implementation, there's two sides of the kind of coin, right? Saying, okay, whatever things that Curasev as a development standpoint needs to be handled as your implementation to make sure that, hey, I'm not roadblocking anything of the tasks that are assigned to us because I
do message you.
You do message me.
Where are you at?
You got to push me a little bit, but I think from that standpoint, it's like we do a very good job as a team because implementation, you get all the client requirements. I learn those requirements, make sure we get developed in a timely manner because we know their go live is 2 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on that portion. And being that really cohesive team, it makes us to get things quicker out. We have a very good agile kind of methodology with sprint planning and testing and kind of grooming of all the tasks there to make sure that we do releases. And being an online API-centric kind of platform, we can do releases so often, every weekend.
Sometimes too often.
Yeah, maybe it's too often. But things like release notes, so it's like changes that come in, everything's real live because by the time you come Monday morning, you log in, hey, these are all my new things. You'll get an email from Chelsie saying, hey, these are all the things you guys custom asked for. Let's go ahead and tell them that these are completed.
Do you like it?
Do you like it?
Is there something else that we can improve on?
Do we further enhance it? Let's go back to the drawing board again. That process is two sides of a coin, and it's a real big cycle that I think here at Curasev we've done a really good job of trying to make clients happy with being able to cater to their needs.
That's what I say. Every time someone asks me, hey, what's the difference between Curasev and your competitor softwares? To be honest, all of the softwares do the same thing. It's the people. That's the difference. Is the people that build the software. That's the difference, and we truly care.
Oh, that's so cute. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our episode of The Digital Shift. Thank you, Chelsie, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And giving us your expert feedback on implementation. And I hope that we can see everyone in the next episode. And looking forward. Take care. Bye.
Bye. That's a wrap.